Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum, brought to you by Shannon Square Rental, Chapman and Plama Law. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
All right, welcome back to this week of the Treasure Coast Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts, Lee Gross, back here with the man Frank, and we got a full squad here today.
We do.
So let's go down and everybody introduce
table,
themselves. Round table.
Hello, I'm Connor Fuchs. I'm Reese Gavitt.
And I'm Sam Crombie.
All right, welcome one and all. And we should go through and tell our listeners what schools you guys represent.
Oh yeah, schools. So
yeah.
I'm still South Fork. I haven't changed. I haven't just up and disappeared.
You haven't transferred yet.
I am also South Fork. South Fork also, and that leaves one.
Yep, one Martin
The
County
one
kid.
county guy.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, nothing from Jensen Beach today, but all right.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, all right.
Ruler.
But we congratulate you guys for being here. So we have lots of things to talk about, a lot of things going on in the world of politics and the news.
We do.
Yes.
Just as always.
Yes. So what do you want to tackle first?
What do you guys want to? Anything you guys want to talk
I
about
think
first?
the whole YouTube situation is very interesting.
Yeah. All right.
YouTube shooting.
All right. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, this kind of came. Well, after it seems like these shootings are happening more and more. Like it's exponential. I don't really have any opinion on this situation. I think it's still really early developed because it happened 2 days ago.
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
I mean,
Tuesday.
they released what gun she used. What was it?
It's a 9mm.
It's a 9mm.
Easily accessible.
All right.
But what I do believe is that the reason because of it is she got her videos were demonetized on YouTube, meaning she wasn't getting any money from ads. So she was angry. She was angry. She was angry.
Yeah.
And if anything, I think this is giving her way more publicity than she was getting before.
Well, yeah.
Well, I
of
know
course, she can't utilize.
she
that
can't
publicity.
utilize
They
it,
already
but
took
still.
down her channel. Yeah, they've already taken down her channel.
And she is dead. So there's that.
Oh, was she?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
she shot
pulled the gun on
herself. She shot
Self-inflicted.
herself.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think there was one death and it was her.
Yeah.
Oh.
I believe there's someone else in critical condition. But
Correct.
I mean, yeah.
A couple of people were treated and released, and one remains in critical. And so it goes back to the Parkland shooting. It's mental health issues. This is another example of that. Her family, I am told, through some sources here that I've read in the media, have said that her family had contacted authorities and expressed some concern about her mental health, and that there was some concerns that way. And again, I don't know. It's how do you act on that? But certainly there's something to be said about, if you get a lead, you got to follow up on it.
Absolutely.
I would think
It seems to be a very common occurrence these past few weeks.
Yeah. You can't poo-poo it. If somebody calls up and says, listen, so-and-so is, a child, a friend, acquaintance of mine, I'm concerned about their mental health and their personal safety and the safety of others, you have to act on that.
Yeah.
You just can't say, okay, well, we'll catalog that information. Well, after the fact, it really isn't. It's nice to know.
Yeah.
Doesn't help the people that have been hurt or injured or killed,
Yeah, it just, like you're talking about, in the last couple of shootings, there's a lot of examples where it's just this continuity of, you can always debate, gun legislation and different gun regulations, but it all comes down to one agency or another not having the correct oversight or not putting the time and effort into these cases. Because, I understand, right, if you have this large agency that gets thousands of tips a day, you need to act on every single tip, because if the obligation and the job of that agency is to prevent these from happening, and there are people dying at the hands of these weapons because one of these agencies cannot function as it should be, then that's a problem with that agency. And like we've talked about, it continues to happen over and over again. Right. And you'd think that maybe we'd expand resources, provide some more oversight, but it's not happening.
Well, that's the downside. We can't really expand resources that much because we're pretty stretched as it is.
Yeah.
with
So-
the new budget.
Right.
So, I mean, if you do get 1,000 tips a day, you can't act on all of them.
Is it possible that there's just such an overwhelming amount of information that agencies can't sort through all of it all the time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That's probably the problem.
It's
And-
just overwhelming.
I think that's why then it comes down to if a federal agency can't act upon a tip or something, then it's the job of the parents, the friends, the peers to act upon that. I mean, there's a lot of instances where people who should be Baker Acted in Florida or just be put in some sort of arrangement where they can be monitored, they aren't. Maybe it's for fear of repercussions or whatever it may be. Right, exactly. But at the end of the day, Lee is absolutely right. The federal government can't do everything, and it just comes down to each one of us to do what we can to ensure that, hey, if someone's unstable, if someone's threatening to take their own life or other lives, that we're stepping in. It's like, I don't know if this is really topical, but it's like the old saying, like, hear something, say something.
Right.
Exactly. It's just that oversight from person to person.
It's very interesting you say that. Have you guys heard about the Julian Edelman story?
Yeah,
I did hear about that.
Yes,
It's
very
I
funny.
heard about that.
For those who don't know, it's Julian Edelman is a Patriots player, and somebody posted a comment on one of his Instagram photos saying how he plans to shoot up his school. Somebody else saw this comment, direct message Julian saying, "Hey, someone commented on your photo that they're going to shoot up their school. Can you do anything about this?" Julian then went to the authorities, told the authorities that someone commented this on his photo. They identified the kid. They got to his house, and his parents had 2 rifles. So, just
Wow.
goes to show how anybody can really prevent a.
Right.
Not
Yeah,
shooting
right.
like this.
You get a lead and you act on it. So that was a good example of that.
Yeah.
No, that's good. So the interesting thing is that the other news outlets aren't really covering the YouTube shooting that much. We had
true.
wall-to-wall coverage.
I mean, there was on CBS, like
Yeah.
CBS 12, they
do it on,
out the wall.
right. They
Yeah.
would do obligatory, the day of, but think about how many days after Parkland
today I haven't
we're
heard
still
anything.
talking about.
You still
that.
hear about Parkland today.
Right. Right, and it took place in February. Right?
Yeah, but then when it comes to something that like we were talking about before the break, or before we began, when it comes to something that doesn't meet their agenda, it's just completely dropped off. I mean, they're not even making an attempt to provide bipartisan coverage. I mean, they're just face value, just not covering what they don't feel that they should cover.
Right.
It's amazing how many stories just drop off the face of the.
It is. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
And especially stories like the one with Julian Edelman, like we hear about the shootings, but we don't hear about the heroes that either stop the shootings or before
Right.
they happen. It's just, if anything, it's just emboldening more individuals to commit these atrocities.
Yeah. True enough. Before, excuse me, before we went on air, I was reviewing an email a friend sent to me, and you guys know about the Electoral College, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll chat a little bit about that. Do you know how many counties there are in the United States?
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
It's like north of 3,000.
Yeah, exactly. It's 3,141 counties in the United States. President Trump won 3,084 counties.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Hillary Clinton won 57. All right. There are 62 counties in New York State. Trump won 46 of them. Clinton won 16. Clinton won the popular vote by 1.5 million votes. In the 5 counties that encompass New York cities, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Richmond, and Queens, Clinton received well over 2 million more votes than Trump. Clinton only won 4 of these counties. Trump won Richmond. Therefore, these 5 counties alone more than accounted for Clinton's winning the popular vote of the entire country. These 5 counties comprise of 319 square miles. The United States is comprised of 3,797 square miles. So when you have a country that encompasses almost 4 million square miles of territory, it would be ludicrous to even suggest that the vote of those who inhabit a mere 319 square miles should dictate the outcome of a national election. Right? Wow. So largely densely populated cities in New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles do not and should not speak for the rest of the country. and it's been verified and documented that those aforementioned 319 square miles are where the majority of our nation's problems foment. So, anyways, so it's just kind of interesting, when you look at it, because you like numbers, right, Lee? So, so when you start breaking things down in numbers and just kind of looking at it, that way, it's like, whoa, it's pretty interesting. And I find it even more interesting that over 200 years ago, the Founding Fathers kind of had a notion about that. That's why they put the Electoral College in there, and rather than just have an election strictly decided by popular vote only. There were many issues around that. One of the issues was the information. You couldn't disseminate information quickly among the populace back then, like we can today. So the concern was not everybody could be informed right up to the minute. So that's why they had electors that you would vote, for your party, and then those electors hopefully those are the folks that would be the informed and to do the voting. So anyways, but that was the original thinking back then, and it kind of is holding pretty true to today. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you and see if you had any thoughts on that as well. But hurricane season started today in that they came up with the hurricane season names. Even though the season actually starts June 1st, they already decided what the names will be. And the the activity of the hurricane season, they're also speculating that. And that speculation is taking place in, of all places, Colorado. So, but that is where they make all those decisions. And that, of course, those decisions also affect our insurance. So the people that live in Colorado, do they have to get hurricane insurance? Probably not. No. I don't think so. But anyway, so
insurance.
The very first storm of the season will be called Alberto. The second one will be Beryl. And
wait, Daryl?
Beryl.
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 Even better.
Beryl.
Yeah.
Wait until Alberto's like a cat 1, and then Barrel's like a cat 5.
Yeah. He's going to barrel in to the East Coast and kill us
Kool-Aid
all.
Man is way into Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you get into the K, that'll be Kirk.
Kirk, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, my grandfather's name.
All right.
Kirk's
Very
gonna-
good.
He'll have fun with that.
Yeah.
So we even got a Tony in there. Tony.
Tony.
Yeah. Look out, Tony's coming. Tony's coming for you.
Wait, who's the H?
H.
Alliterations are the best.
Helene.
Hurricane Helene?
Yeah. Yeah. O for Oscar. Florence is making a return visit.
Wow.
We had a Florence years ago. They will reuse some of the names. Only the ones that are really monster storms where there's death,
They don't-
carnage.
they don't
They'll retire those names. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's kind of interesting. They're predicting 63% probability of at least one major hurricane during making landfall in the United States, and
It's usually
so
like an annual thing at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah. So, anyway, so that's pretty much. I guess that we had about a 3-year drought or more. We had there was no hurricane activity, which was great. So, I guess we're back into the active season.
Swing of
So,
things.
yeah. So Mexico is made it back in the news again with the caravan of illegal marchers that are now their Mexico government was kind enough to offer them a transit visa.
Wow.
So these are people from Honduras and parts elsewhere, right? And so they enter the southern end of Mexico, and they're basically hiking through Mexico. And, Mexico has very strict immigration policy. You just can't walk into Mexico. You have to.
Right.
Kind of
Right?
ironic.
Which
very
isn't
ironic,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So they says, well, where's your end destination? Well, we want to go to the United States. Okay, we'll give you a transit visa. So it's a little document that allows them to pass. They can't stop, but they can continue. So as long as their ultimate destination is not Mexico, they're allowed to come in.
Well, what I think
To
is
Mexico.
so incredible is that the Mexican government is so opposed to providing visas and passports for the citizens of Mexico who want to immigrate to other countries. They're so against it. But when it comes to aggravating the United States, they'll go like the extra mile just to piss off the United States by providing these visas. I think it's just so incredible that that's how it works in the status quo. It's,
Yeah.
it's really funny, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So you can get more of that on the townhall.com website if you want to read up on that. But some interesting things. The president, as you know, he has been pressuring Mexico to do something about all these this caravan of folks that are coming.
Now, is he sending the National Guard?
He is. Now, the National Guard will just be in a support role.
Okay.
So, yes, he is sending the National Guard. That was announced, and they're still working out the logistics of that. Interesting aside is that part of that budget, because national security and immigration is becoming more of as much of a national security issue as anything else. So keeping that in mind, they're actually thinking about taking some of that land along the border that's federally controlled, federally owned, and making military bases there for training, and then give them the opportunity to build the wall. The military will actually do the funding for those portions of the wall that way. So that's pretty clever, really.
Yeah.
Utilization of resources. Did you know about that? You tell our listeners who just joined us.
Hello, everyone. It's me. It's Nick, back from the past couple weeks. I'm glad to be here.
Nick from.
Nick from Martin County High School.
Okay, so we got 2 Martin County students. Very good. Okay.
We're still outnumbered, though.
Still outnumbered, yeah. Okay. All right. But that's good. It's good that you gentlemen can all be collegial, and that's good. You get along great. All right. So anyways, any other thoughts about the folks coming through here? So you think they should be allowed? Do you think they should be turned away at the border? Or do you think it's collusion? Boy, that's a popular word right now. Do you think that the Mexican government is colluding with these advocacy groups to allow for this to happen?
Of course they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just, since Trump's taken office, he's kind of called out on all the BS of the Mexican government and everything that they've continued to facilitate that's been negative, whether it be through immigration or through like NAFTA. Trump's called it out, and so they're aggravated, just as they should be. And so as a result, I would agree that they're colluding with advocacy groups and different NGOs just to try to, stir the pot and just make a headline and continue to exacerbate the issues that we see. It's just, I think it's really interesting that people always forget that the United States has no contingencies on allowing people to even immigrate to the United States, let alone allow illegal immigrants to stay. So when people can be up in arms nowadays about someone saying, oh, I don't want illegal immigrants in the United States, or I just don't want immigration in general, and we forget that, it's a right for us to not allow immigration if we feel that it's not beneficial to the United States. And people seem to forget that even with illegal immigration, the laws of our land that have been continued to be abused by the Mexican government. So, yeah, I think it's just the Mexican government continuing to try to stir the pot and, facilitating everything that has continued to be wrong with past administrations on the issue of immigration.
Now, this caravan of people, you say, where are they coming from?
They're Honduras.
And what exactly is causing them to come here?
Who doesn't want it? I mean, think about it. We were all born here, right?
Right.
It's like we won the lottery, the global lottery,
Yeah, that's pretty sure.
right? It's so when you're born in a second world or third world country, you want to go to where there's more opportunity.
Right.
So there's that. So the thing is, these outside groups that are facilitating this caravan march are also offering legal assistance to these people. All right. And I got a call coming in. Call back at the bottom of the hour when we go to break. Okay. And this legal team that's come in to assist these marchers, is going to guide them so that when they come to the border, is going to tell them exactly what to say, and that they're looking for amnesty because for whatever reasons they're concerned about being their living conditions from where their country of origin is. So what they'll do is they'll be if they're allowed to come in because they're seeking amnesty, then they're given a document from the United States government that says, okay, we're going to release you on your own recognizance. Here's your court date, and you just need to come back for court date. Well, will they? There's millions of people 12 million people here that
never came back.
That never made their court date.
Never made it.
So, but that's the workaround. All right. So, we got to take our break. So, caller, stay with us. We'll be back.
Opinions expressed.
Whoa. All right. We'll be right back. So, stay tuned. All right, now it's time for today's Southeast AgNet Report, brought to you by Everglades Farm Equipment, a family-owned business for the past 50 years with 10 Florida locations, including Fort Pierce, Okeechobee, and Loxahatchee. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. bringing us back.
Oh, what do I say again?
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Like that.
Welcome back, everybody, to
Treasure Coast Forum.
Yeah. Sorry, Sam was talking to my ear while I was giving you.
I'm going to give that a 5 out of 10.
Okay. All right. It's all right. All right. We put you on the spot. Not fair. So it's all right. You did fine. All right.
Thank you.
So we've got John on the line, and we had John on the line, but whoops.
No, John.
But
Come back to us.
John called with a very valid point. He says, that the Mexican government encourages people that do gain entry into the United States to send money back to Mexico, and they call that remittance. Yeah. And so, in fact, people, even there are Cubans, the people of Cuban descent, that send money back to Cuba still for their family, and the Castro government still cashes those U.S. checks, Yeah. So stand by. All right. Let's see. Is that John again? John, are you there?
No.
Oh, all right, Bob. All right. Well, we had John on the line earlier, and he couldn't wait through the
John's
break.
Trying to clock block me, I think.
Who knows? But he did
he
make
says he says he's conservative, but I don't think so.
No, but you know what? He made a very, very good point as we were on break, and I wanted to bring him on to talk about that. So I did it in his stead. But yeah, good point that he made. So what's going on in your world, Bob?
Well, talking about, it's not funny, but about how jumpy we are these days, about people with guns, see something, say something.
Right. Definitely not
but
funny.
But I found something funny. One day my buddy, who was like a year and a half older than me, he drove, he's my neighbor, and he says, hey, after school I'm going to go hunt some pheasant and rabbit. I said, yeah, I'll go. So we're driving up the hill. Here's another buddy of ours. He's on his little sister's baby blue bicycle. With a white, they used to have the white wicker basket on the front of it,
right?
With flowers and stuff on it.
Yeah.
And he's smoking a South American blunt, and he's got his double barrel sitting on top of the basket with rope tied to the handlebar. Can you imagine that today? God, 911 be ringing off the chart.
Oh yeah, that'd be a disaster.
Right.
And a couple of weeks later, first time me and my buddy, we got invited by this guy who was a duck hunter. He says, hey, come duck hunt with me. We never been duck hunting. So he says, make sure you're wearing camouflage. We wear camouflage. We got to be out there before sunup when they land. We're hiding in the weeds by the lake. Camouflage. Be quiet, everybody. Stay down. Here comes Dave again, the guy from the bicycle, with two other buddies wearing bright orange, blasting a boombox. Right as we could see the ducks in the distance circling the lake. It's just a story that kind of hit me when I think about today. If you see somebody like that, my God, you'd be terrified,
Oh, my goodness.
And what you're talking about with this lady from Iran.
Well, we did talk about her. She was Iranian. We didn't mention that, but she was. But her family was very concerned about her mental health.
But it's unusual for a woman. I saw part of the thing on the news about she had some video that was showing.
She had a lot of YouTube rants, and her YouTube rants were so strange.
Yeah, her eyes. I mean, she kind of looks like she'll hurt you, but the videos are kind of strange. But no, but it's kind of shocking because like we've talked about before, the people in college age in Iran, they really like the Western lifestyle. They would love to come here.
Right.
I mean, they like this. They like the way we run this country more than the graduates and the students at Berkeley do.
Right.
I mean, so it was kind of odd when I heard that she was Iranian.
Yeah. Well,
until I saw her. And
right.
Then,
she definitely had some mental health issues, but unfortunately never got addressed. So.
Yeah, and the other thing you were talking about was the Electoral College, which I mentioned before.
Yeah.
You made it totally clear to what I was saying before. We need electoral colleges for states. I mean, because look at all the cities now that are piling on against us in California even.
Interesting. I hear what you're
This is why
saying.
this is part of the reason I left California. Not only that, but the taxes. I had county, city, state,
Right.
car. If you bought a new car for 10 years, you had to pay property tax on the damn thing.
Right.
It went down 10% a year, but then the regular license fee went up. I mean, it was a lot of money too. That property tax on a new vehicle. It was supposed to go down progressively for 10 years, but then they kept raising the other parts and all that. It was just the taxes there were crazy. The crime. We actually put my oldest one. We put him in a private school starting in kindergarten, which we really couldn't afford at the time too much. But they were actually trying to recruit gang members, even around the nice area we lived in. California's weird. It's kind of like a checkerboard. You have a beautiful neighborhood, and a block away you got a war zone.
Yeah.
And but they were actually trying to recruit kids in most of those areas around L.A. County into the gangs in elementary school. So we put him into private school when he was actually in kindergarten. And 93, we said, that's it. I said, I'm not raising my kids here. I'm not paying these ridiculous taxes anymore.
Right.
Now with all this, I'm so glad I left. My kids loved Florida. They weren't happy, especially the older one, when we first moved here, because we didn't have all the Port St. Lucie back then. We didn't have all the stores.
Right.
Our mall looks like, compared to a California mall, terrible.
Right.
We didn't have all the restaurants and any of that stuff. I mean, eventually we started getting it, but now they love Florida.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
and I think they're happy that we made the move now.
Cool.
The younger one, he didn't know anything from anything. He's still wearing diapers. So.
Did you? This is just late breaking news this afternoon, Bob. I don't know if you're aware of it, but there was a 5.3 magnitude earthquake that struck near the Channel Islands in Southern California. It's not too far from Los Angeles. So.
Channel Islands. Why do I know where those are? I know Catalina.
Yeah, all right. Well, and
you can see Catalina sometimes.
that whole area has been kind of busy. There was a 2.8 magnitude earthquake that took place today in Alpine Village, California, which is west of Sacramento, on the Nevada line. And
they have hundreds. They have hundreds a month. They're in the low ones or low twos. And the difference between is like hurricanes.
Right.
I mean, every point you go up or every fraction of a point is just immense. I mean, I mean, another funny story. When we first moved here, we were sleeping, and my oldest one, who was like 6, he woke us up. He says, "Hey, that guy from the news in California is on our TV." And I go out there, and sure enough, that was the Northridge earthquake.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a big one. Then you had the one in San Francisco before that.
Right.
And me and my buddy were going to watch the World Series, I guess it was, San Francisco then, and the one that was in San. But we're watching it, and we were waiting to watch the game. We just walked in, we turned it on, and they were showing San Francisco and Oakland. And he looked at the bridge, and it looked like one flat, like the Roosevelt Bridge. And he says, "Oh my God!" And he was from that Sacramento area. He said, I said, what's the deal? I mean, it just looks like the bridge is fine. He says, "Bob, that's a 2-story bridge." And now it looks like it's a 1-story bridge.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Serious
But
pancake.
I went through all the earthquakes. The earthquakes didn't bother me too much unless I was in one of my dump trucks under a bridge or working on a road on top of a bridge, But they literally have hundreds of earthquakes every month, but they're so small that nobody even really talks about it.
Exactly. Well, this 5.3 just that was 39 miles
That's a good
from.
one.
Yeah, 5.3, 39 miles from Oxnard. So outside of Oxnard. So okay.
And many a night we grabbed the kids out of a dead sleep, which is kind of shocking to a kid, and took them into the hallway and till it was over with. But most of the houses there are like 1-story houses, so you don't really worry about it when you're in a house like that. Like I said, if you're downtown or if you're on top of a bridge or under a bridge or something, then it kind of concerns you. But otherwise, that wasn't why we left.
Keep a can of stucco patch handy, and then you're good to go. Okay. Okay, Bob, we got to take our break.
I appreciate it. I want to take every time. You got a good crew there. Great show.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Bob.
See you,
it.
Bob.
All right.
Appreciate it,
Take
Bob.
care, guys. Thanks.
You
You
too.
too.
Welcome back to the WSTU Treasure Coast Forum. I'm your host, Reese Gabbett, and we are back.
All right,
that's
well
what I'm
done.
talking
Hey.
Very nice, Reese.
All right, we got
Very
very
nice.
nice. All right.
All right.
Cool.
All right. So during the break, we decided we're going to talk about rocks in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, so what's your position on that?
I'm not sure what I think of that. I think there's certainly some better methods. Maybe it's certainly interesting.
Can't take them away from them because they're not guns.
Right. I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I still think the armed security officers there is the way to go. I mean, it's shown to work with the whole Maryland shooting.
Yeah.
I think we just need just as many of those as we can in each school.
Oh.
Painful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything really inherently harmful about it. I mean, it's a bucket full of rocks. Can't do any harm, but it's not. It's not really addressing the problem. But hey, I mean, if it's rocks that work, then so be it.
I kind of feel like myself, it's putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. Like this is a very
serious issue.
It's a comical solution for sure, but like this is completely like this isn't beyond just being like immediate defense. This isn't solving the problem at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
All right. So when I was a kid in school, we had erasers in chalkboards. And so when the kids were misbehaving in class, it wasn't unusual for you to get an eraser upside your head. The teacher would fling it across the room. Bang!
So were they like wood? Like they weren't.
No, eraser is just it's a
Wood eraser, right?
It's
no,
just
no.
an eraser.
No, I mean like they were heavy, right? They weren't just like those foam.
No, they weren't heavy either. They were they weren't
Have
light.
changed
They
the
weren't
eraser
heavy.
design the past few?
They're probably under a pound.
Okay.
Yeah, well under a pound, probably
Well, I'm glad
just
to
a few
see-
ounces.
I'm glad to see they banned those assault erasers.
Salt
Assault
erasers.
erasers must be banned in our schools. They are a danger to humanity.
But yeah, so it was not unusual for you to get whacked upside the head, if you were, not paying attention in class. Because
Yeah.
if you were paying attention, there's no way you'd get hit in the head anyways, right?
Exactly.
'Cause-
Well, it's interesting that today there's like a double standard where you can't like hit a kid with a ruler, which I'm not arguing for. I don't think you
Right.
should be hitting kids with rulers in the back of the head. But at the same time, that's taboo. You can't do that. But at the
Right.
same time, a teacher can go completely off course or topic and insert their own political leanings into any conversation. And so it's interesting how times have changed.
You definitely get a bunch of teachers telling you like their political beliefs. Like for
It's so
instance,
annoying.
I have
It's so
I have
annoying.
one teacher who actually recommended that we do walk out of school, even though
Really?
that's
Oh yeah.
that,
Our guidance counselor came forward and said that she highly recommends that we all walk out and leave and participate in that, and nothing about the other side. So-
right. And so that would be to project their particular agenda then,
Right.
right? Yeah.
which I mean I thought to be illegal. And
Well,
Actually-
yeah. Well, I don't know. It's certainly, if it's an activity on the campus, it's hard to argue. When you leave the campus, that's another kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With
I mean,
these,
I have another teacher showing us very political videos in class instead of.
that was ridiculous. Yeah.
I was in that class with Connor, actually. We spent the entire class because I think half the class was gone due to, I forget, I think there was like a field trip or something, and we just stood and watched some very political videos and speeches the entire class.
So kind of like indoctrination then.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was really
You
weird.
felt like you were in a communist country.
And
yeah.
and to speak up, it would be like to kind of shoot yourself in the foot. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you have the teacher on one side, and
Right.
I would say in that one class, the majority of the class on that one side. So
Right.
With these teachers and guidance counselors, there's always like this level of like they feel like they have some sort of moral superiority. They're
Yeah.
always like above you, and like if you speak out against what they believe in, then you're instantly
Right. So now are you tested on this information, or are you just tested on other things?
this
This
information
is this is outside of the testing.
it's
outside
outside
of the
testing.
curriculum.
Yeah.
However,
the day we see it in the testing is a bad day.
Right.
but then again, that's taken away from times that we should be focusing on actual curricular.
Doing educational things.
Yeah, I think it's funny that, to an outsider saying something like, oh, our schools are indoctrinating us, like people would scoff at that, but that's not something that's unrealistic. I mean, as, 5 high school students here, we can attest to the fact that, whether it's political bias on one side or another, there is bias in our schools, and I don't think it's properly addressed because the majority are the minority in this situation, and so they can just get away with, what they want. And again, it may sound funny, but it really does happen, and it's not very good.
No. Well, I know when you gentlemen, and I assume most, if not all of you, are moving on to college, you're going to run into college professors
Oh yeah.
with a very liberal perspective.
Oh yeah.
And
As we see in the news.
Right. So what are your plans? I mean, obviously, what you take the tests, and a lot of the tests, especially if they're, political tests, right? Classes on politics and stuff. You're going to be schooled on the political point of view of that particular professor, right?
My dad's always said, just play the teacher's game to
Right.
get that A. So I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
I was listening to
Exactly
a speaker, and what they said is when you go to college or different schools, they are definitely going to try to indoctrinate you. And to speak up would be to
Shoot yourself in the foot.
Shoot yourself in
Yeah.
the foot.
Yourself.
So they say the best advice is to do is keep your head down, do what you're supposed to do well in the classes, get a good job, and then when you're making a lot of money, support the political party of your choosing.
There you go.
That's
yeah.
the best thing you can do in that situation.
Because otherwise, like I have a sister who's in college, right? And she has some, and she was interested in political science for a little while, and so she was taking some government classes, and that bias was apparent in the essays that she was writing, and you just really can't get around it because again, any complaints are just the same voice. It's the same mindset hearing it, and nothing's going to be done about it. So like Reese said, you kind of just have to deal with it until you can rise to a level where you have the power to eliminate that bias.
it's funny, the conservative professors, even at UF, are just so highly in demand now by the students. Everybody wants to be with the conservative professors because they're so limited. So their space and all their other slots available for other students get filled up so quick.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting.
I mean, I'd want to be too if I'm just in an echo chamber of the same thoughts
Exactly.
day in, day out, from math professors, science professors, is irrelevant. It's just,
hearing a different opinion is nice sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember
Right. And if the teacher allows debate, conversation, or if it's just a one-sided conversation,
It's always
not-
one-sided.
that's the problem, right?
Yeah, that's a problem.
I remember years ago when I was in middle school, teachers would not let you know under any circumstance their political beliefs because that was the system. That's the way it was supposed to
Right,
be. And it
right.
seems like in the past few years, ever since Trump got elected, people have been really, not
Bashful.
bashful. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so I just found something.
Yes.
It just came out 10 minutes ago, actually, from
Okay.
Washington Post.
Breaking news.
Breaking
Yeah, breaking news. They have information about the National Guard deployment. Trump wants to send about 2,000 to 4,000
Okay.
support troops,
That's a solid number.
and they're looking into the cost of the effort still, the full cost.
Right.
I'm sure that means something completely different, but that's what they said.
Right.
And they're probably going to keep most of them, if not all of them, until the border wall is finished.
All right.
Is what they're saying.
I do have a question about the National Guard deployment, though. Is the National Guard, do they have the capacity to act as a law enforcement
No.
branch?
It's actually completely illegal for them to be enforcing immigration. So they would be there in an intelligence gathering role and support. Basically, they could do everything except actually go after them and nab them.
Okay.
Okay.
So, by that definition, could they be patrolling the border, then
Yes.
notify?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Border Patrol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it wouldn't. They could do it, or they could just have drones up, whichever's more efficient for them.
They'd probably be paired with border patrol
Yeah.
agents.
Now,
They
what,
probably have-
what happens if these National Guard agents start getting attacked or whatever? Can they?
They
I'm
can
pretty sure at
defend
that
themselves.
point
They can
is
defend
it is
themselves, right?
shoot back.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we saw in Ferguson that the National Guard really has their work cut out for them
Yeah,
in
I
those
mean,
situations.
it's still the case of if you want to play the game, they'll just shoot you.
Play
Go
stupid
for
games,
it.
win stupid prizes.
Yeah, exactly. Best phrase ever for that,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, all very
Let's
interesting.
attack some heavily armed guardsmen. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that. Yeah.
And I also maybe not just enforcement and further surveillance, but I think that it may also act as kind of like a strong arming of individuals who are thinking of coming over to the United States. It's kind of like a show
Yeah,
of force.
it'll scare them.
Yeah,
if anything,
especially-
that'll scare people into coming across.
Especially since a lack of border security agents now, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting, and we look forward to next week. Of course, you gentlemen will be away from the desk. You'll be on assignment.
In Tallahassee,
Yeah.
All right.
We'll be up
you
killing
can-
it. Let's
perhaps
go.
you can call in. But
maybe on the bus.
yeah, maybe.
We'll see
This
what we can
time, Thursday we won't be on the bus. Thursday we're going to be up there.
Wow.
All right.
Thursday it'll be committee day.
We'll
I think.
see what we can do.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
All
see
right.
if we're not doing committees at this point. We can probably try.
Stay in touch. We'll figure it out. Okay. Well, we thank you all for listening to Treasure Coast Forum, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Take care.